I'm Kimberly, and in this session, we're going to be exploring Microsoft Word and how they have some amazing learning tools that you can use that anyone can use. And you'd be surprised what's there. So I'm excited to share that with you. I have Emily Bannon here today, who is helping me with the chat so that when you've got some questions, you can certainly pop them into the chat and Emily will help to answer them. Let me tell you that if you are joining from, and you'd like to have, let me open up my app here. I didn't get it ready ahead of time, but if you'd like to see this in another language, and you could also actually hear it in another language, I am going to get a conversation code to share with you and put that in the chat so that you will be able to hear this in another language that you prefer. So the code is AZTLE, and you can use the app on your cell phone, or you can go to a browser and type in translate.it and use that code. Okay, before we begin, here are some tips for participating in this Teams meeting. For this meeting, we are going to have your mics muted, and I'd prefer video being turned off for this session. And it's sort of the same as our students. So one of the first things your student's teacher will do is establish some classroom arrangements, some agreements that you guys have, common routines, just like in face-to-face where you decide what works best for the classroom. And we will have mics off just to eliminate distractions. You can look for that toolbar. Yours may be at the top if you're on a new student device that you've borrowed from the district. And then if you open it up in a browser, your toolbar will be sort of down here when you move your mouse. But if you're in the Teams app, it will be at the top. And it might also look different if you're on a cell phone, but you'll find a way to click a speech bubble so that you can chat, leave a little message, ask a question, and Emily will be able to answer it. You can also use the raise hand feature. And if called on, just like in class, we will take turns to unmute and ask questions if you'd like to use that way to communicate. So I do have a way that you can ask questions that are unrelated to today's topic, and today's topic is Microsoft Word Learning Tools. So you can open up a browser and type in bit.ly and the rest of this, FAM, Q, and S for questions and suggestions, and the F, Q, and S are capitalized. And that's a place where you can tell us some good ideas that you have for future webinars or ask a question that's unrelated to today's topic. So today we're here to look at Microsoft Word. It is something that's probably very familiar to you. It may not be familiar to you if you've been using other word processing programs, but this is just essentially the way that you would write a letter digitally. But there's Office 365, which is Word online in the cloud, in other words. And then there's also some different features in the desktop version that's on a laptop or on a cell phone. So we'll be looking at the learning tools that are offered. One of them is Immersive Reader. It's packed full of tools, but essentially it reads the text aloud and then some. We've got dictation. We're going to look at translate. We're going to look at inking. And if we have time, how to save and share your document very quickly. So there's two ways to log in. There's actually way more than that, but I'm going to show you two ways. The first way, this is the web browser, just opening up an internet browser such as Edge or Chrome. And at the top, if you're on a district borrowed computer, so one of the student laptops, your home page will be Tacoma Schools. And it has this black bar at the top. And that black bar has Office 365. So you could just click right there and get to Microsoft Word. Or when you open up a browser, you can just type in office.com. So on any device, anywhere, your personal device, a computer, at the library, anything, anywhere, just go open up a web browser and type in office.com. Then students will log in with their ID number at tps10.org. And your password will start out as lowercase tps, and you are encouraged to change that. So there's two layouts when you do get to Office 365. One of them, the tiles go across this way. So these are the different programs or apps that are available, and you'll see Word right there when the apps tile horizontally across. And then you might have a view that looks like this, where your apps are vertical along the side, and there's Word also. If you don't find an app that you're looking for in Office 365, if you're in this view, you can click this little symbol down here that where my mouse is moving, and that is the All Apps. And likewise over here, we've got All Apps. And in both views, you have this waffle where you can click and search through for different apps. So now let's take a look. I'm going to open up my web browser. My favorite web browser is the brand new Edge. It's the one that looks like a wave, a tidal wave, and that's the one that's on student devices. So when we are here, the landing page is Tacoma Public Schools. And like I told you, you can log in right up here in this bar, this black bar. So Office 365, I'm going to click that, and it's going to go straight to the login spot. So I'm going to log in using my student ID. There we go. My student ID at tps10.org. I click next. Now I put in my password and I've changed it. So it's not lowercase tps anymore, which is safe. There we go. And it asks, do I want to stay signed in? I'm going to say no, because I might share this with another, like a sibling, or I might share this device with somebody else in my family. So I want to say no. Otherwise, they could make a Word document and accidentally save it in my OneDrive storage. So we want to say no, don't stay signed in, so that every time a new user uses that laptop, it will sign in for them. All right, so here we have Office 365, and here is Word. So I'm going to click on Word. And now I want to start a new blank document. You can see that I've got some recently open documents down here that I could select. If I'd just been working in something, I could hop right back into that document. But I'm going to start a fresh one for us in order to show today's learning tools. So here we have a fresh new document. I'm going to use Control and the roller on my mouse to make it larger so you guys can see it. So I'm pressing down Control on my keyboard and using the little roller on the mouse. That makes it bigger or smaller. It's just a quick tip. You can also come down here and there's the plus and the minus to zoom in and zoom out. So I want to show you, for starters, how to use Dictate. Now notice over here, when I mouse over the microphone, it says Dictate. If I make my screen smaller, it actually says the word Dictate. So sometimes the view on this ribbon is expanded and sometimes it squishes depending on the real estate that your screen has. So if you've got a smaller screen, it won't say Dictate, but that's the first thing that I want to show you is this little microphone Dictate feature. So let's look at that. I'm going to click it and I'm going to start dictating. Imagine that my teacher asked me what my favorite season was and to write a paragraph about my favorite season. So then before I start doing this, I have something that says document 4. Well, that's going to be hard to find later on, so I better change that. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to label it favorite season, and then enter. Now my Microsoft Word document has a label that will help me, a title that helps so that I can find it again in the future. So I want to give this a title on my page. And I'm going to be fancy and highlight it and say that I want that to be my title. Then I'm going to hit enter and tell it that I just want this to be normal text now. So to demonstrate how Dictate works, it works very similarly to when you dictate text on a cell phone. I'm going to click it up in the top. It says that it wants to use my microphone. I need to say allow. And then after I click allow, you're going to see that down here are some settings that we will look at in a bit. Okay, it's listening right now. So my favorite season is summer. You can always go outside and play because it stops raining. My brother and I ride bikes and it's super fun. Sometimes we have a big cookout. The food is good. When it's hot, I get to have ice cream. The best part of summer is when I get to go swimming. Summer is awesome. Now notice, I'm going to stop it here for a sec. Now notice that there are things I didn't want. Like, hey, it's listening right now. And also notice that it has no capitalization or punctuation, but there's a way that you can get that done. Notice this little panel showed up over here and it has some little sayings. You can actually say out loud, new line, or delete, or bold that. So, or period. So let's try it that way using some of those commands. So I'm going to go ahead and start again. My favorite season is summer, period. You can always go outside and play because it stops raining, period. New line. My brother and I ride bikes and it's super fun. Bold that. Okay. So using those commands is one way to do it. Now, told you I'd look at some of these settings down here. Let's look at some of the settings. So when I click this, I can change my language. Pretty cool. And right now it's using these voice commands that the help center over here on the right is showing you. I'm going to use auto punctuation this time to read it. So I turned off those voice commands, you know, the thing that says when I say period and new line and bold. So let's see what that looks like. Let's see how it does with the same thing, putting in the punctuation for me. Here we go. My favorite season is summer. You can always go outside and play because it stops raining. My brother and I ride bikes and it's super fun. Sometimes we have a big cookout. The food is good. When it's hot, I have to get, oh, I was going to say I get to have ice cream, but you get the idea. Let's see. It's working. Isn't it magical? So that's the first thing that I wanted to share with you is dictate. I'm going to close this help panel right now. So we've got all of this dictated. And now I'm going to close this here. And I'm going to switch to something that's called Immersive Reader. So I'm going to make my screen a little bit smaller. And I'm going to click on this View tab right here at the top where my mouse is moving. And now, look at this, there's this Immersive Reader. So now I'm going to click, put my cursor here by clicking at the top of the text. I'm going to click this Immersive Reader and show you something else pretty wonderful. Look what it did. It took everything and kind of blew it up and made it a different color. And it kind of isolated the text. At the beginning, there's some suggestions and tips that are down here. I'm going to click off of that and I'm going to click, I'm going to make sure that you guys have sound. Yes, so you guys will be able to hear this. It's going to actually read this out loud. Watch.
Favorite season. My favorite season is summer. You can always go outside and play because it stops raining. My brother and I ride bikes.
Isn't it funny to listen to it without any punctuation? That's one of the greatest ways that kids can learn where to put punctuation in, is to have it read back to them, or even to read it back themselves. And then they recognize, oh my goodness, I need to put some end punctuation in here. Let's see what it sounds like here. Oops. Well, I didn't mean to do that. I was going to show you that later. We'll come back to the picture dictionary and I'll show you how that works in a minute. But let me click back on my and start the play again with the punctuation.
My favorite season is summer. You can always go outside and play because it stops raining.
So there you go. Now, when I click this little voice settings, the icon here where my mouse is moving at the lower part of the screen, then I can speed this up, and I can also change it to a different voice. So I selected female here. I'm going to make it go really fast. It makes me laugh. Here we go.
It's raining. My brother and I ride bikes, and it's super fun.
So this is about where I like to listen to it.
For fun. My favorite season is summer. You can always go outside and...
Okay. Up in the top are some really amazing settings. Before I begin with those, I want to give a pause here and see if we've got any questions in the chat. So Emily,
We
how's
don't
it
have
going?
any questions, but I really am glad that you're recording this, because even you showed some features in Dictate that I haven't used before, and I can't wait to go back
It
and
is
watch the
fun.
recording. I'm
Good.
just hanging on the edge of my seat here. These are great learning tools, Kimberly.
that's-
Thank you.
That's the amazing thing about Microsoft, is that they're always improving the product. There's always so much. I mean, I'm not selling Microsoft at all, but I love technology, and it's super fun to see all of the features, and there's hidden things sometimes that I fall upon every once in a while, and it's fun to play. So up in the top, let's start looking at these three icons. The first one is text preferences, and that's where you can increase the size of your text. And you can also increase the spacing. So there it is, decreased, and here it is, increased. So it depends on how much text you need to have in one space and how easy it is, how you want it to present. It's this idea of being able to read text as have it read aloud, and then it highlights the words, actually helps increase the ability to read. So for people learning to read, it's
play because it stops
helpful
raining.
Tool. And let's look some more here. We've recognized that it's easier to read in certain fonts. So these three fonts are some of the easier ways to read. So if you are opening text in a Microsoft Word document that's got a lot of scrolls and it's real fancy, it's good to open it up in Immersive Reader and then simplify the fonts. You can also change the backgrounds, the color, which assists some people in reading. Different lighting helps. So Emily, do you know what show source formatting is?
No, that's a new one for me.
I don't know that one.
I haven't tried that before.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it a little later together. So then let's move up here to grammar options. You can show syllables, which is really helpful in pronunciation. And you can turn that off. You can turn on nouns. It colors them. And then if you go down here, you can select show labels, and it'll put a little N above it to indicate that that is a noun. Let's turn the verbs on too. Now let's turn on the adjectives and the adverbs. So that's very helpful. I'm going to turn all these guys off for now. And we're going to go over to the third icon, which is reading preferences. Line focus helps immensely. If you are if you're learning to read, it helps to isolate. It also helps to...
It's raining. My brother and I ride bikes, and it's super fun. It
helps for the reading. It just helps to kind of take out all that visual noise. So I'm going to go back there to the reading preferences, and I'm going to change my line focus to show 3 lines instead. Let me do that again. You think I found myself a glitch? That's okay though.
What
Yes.
was it? What was the glitch?
It looks like when I'm clicking on these guys, it may not be a glitch. It may be user error.
It happens when we have our text size so large that it won't allow us to focus. So if you make your text size smaller, you'll have, there you go. But mine's normally, I don't make mine so small that I see the 5 options very often.
Yes.
So I typically see the 1 or the 3 lines.
Doesn't that totally make sense too? Because if you are super zoomed in, then you really don't need to do too much of line focus because you're already limiting. You're already down to 4 as it is.
Exactly.
Thank you. That was
course.
great. I'm so glad you're on the call with me. That's what technology is like. It's a group effort to enjoy it and to explore it. So there we go. Picture dictionary, I gave you a little sneak preview accidentally. And so I will show that to you. When picture dictionary is on and you move your mouse, your cursor comes along. Let me turn it off and then back on again. And you will come upon something that has, in this case, I'm not coming upon anything. Well, in some areas, it comes on with sort of a magic wand and a star, and then you'll know which words have picture dictionary. I'm not seeing that right now. It's possible because it's something that I wrote in Microsoft Word and not maybe online.
Kimberly,
But I love, yeah, do you know
sorry,
why?
if you click on the word bikes, does it pop up? I think what has happened is they've updated it and they've taken away the little icons, and I think that they have so many more things in the picture dictionary that I think you can now click on even more words
That
than you
makes
could before.
sense.
This is new for me too.
So maybe another update. Because just recently I was demonstrating how when you mouse over something, yours might show like a magic wand to indicate that bikes has a picture, but it's true. It looks like whenever I click on these, I've got just about a picture for just about everything. I don't know if I'd have one for because. I do not, but I can listen to it.
Because.
Which is awesome. So when you're reading something and you come upon a word that you don't know how to say, which is helpful for me many times when I'm reading something and I'm being introduced to new words and difficult articles or new tech terms, it's like, how do they say that? Well, if I click on it,
Summer,
I can listen to it. So that's a pretty cool thing too. So the last piece is language translation. So if I wanted, I could listen to this in another language. So I'm going to pick Spanish and I'm going to, right now it's by word. Let's give it a shot by document and let's listen to it.
temporada favorita. Mi temporada favorita es el verano, siempre se puede salir a...
Works like a charm. Now here I can go back to the original and then back to Spanish. And then I can also click here and switch languages. So that is Immersive Reader. Love it, love it, love it. I think that it's so helpful. I mean, I know Emily uses it all the time. Emily, can you think of a time that you've used Immersive Reader? When would you happen to use it?
Well, I typically admit that I wish I had it when I was in high school or in college because I typed a lot in French and I wanted to check my work to see if I was accurate. So I could type it in French and translate it back to English.
That's cool.
But that's something that when I'm practicing and I'm trying to check my language skills, I use the Immersive Reader for that sometimes.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Of
So
course.
I'm now looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, done with Immersive Reader. How do I get back to my Word document? So up here in the top left is a little arrow, back and exit. There we go. Now I'm back to my Word document. I'm going to zoom in on it again. And I want to show you translate. I can just right click here in the middle of the Word document. So when I'm looking at my mouse and I've got a left clicker and I've got a right clicker, if I choose the right I can look right here and see translate. I can translate that. I can translate the whole document or a selection. I'm going to translate the whole document. The panel opens on the right, and I can decide what language I want to translate it to. There we go. It's been translated to Danish. Got Immersive Reader here, and I can go back to the original, view the original. Love it. It's the best. So now I want to show you something that's inking, and the inking will only work in the desktop version. So we've been in online in the Microsoft Word and Office 365 online. How do I know I'm online? Because right up here, there's the web browser. You know, there's the website address, the HTTPS stuff. So if I want to open it in my desktop app, and students do have Microsoft Word installed on their desktops, on their laptops, now it's going to open up Microsoft Word in the app that's on my computer. And look, the website address has gone up there. So now I've got some different tabs. There are a lot of the same tabs are here, the view tab that we were using a little while ago, but look, I've got this one that says draw. So when I click on draw, I just wanted to show you that you can draw using your mouse, or if you have a touch screen, you can draw with touch, but you would need to select draw with touch. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to change it to red. Oh no, I love this pen right here, the special effects pen. And I'm going to change my thickness to be thick enough so that you can see this magical pen. I love it. And I'm going to use it to underline. Isn't that fun? And then over here, let me pick a different pen. I'm going to make sure that the thickness is smaller for this one, and I'm going to pick green. And I'm going to use this little guy called Ink to Shape. When I click that, I can make a triangle, but when I let go, because I clicked Ink to Shape first, it's going to fix my triangle. Isn't that awesome? Look at my circle. So I can make perfect shapes, which is pretty cool. So there are many more things to explore. I would encourage you to just click and explore. There's Ink to Math, which is a cool place where you can put in maybe you can use your finger to draw or your mouse to draw an equation without having to search for all the special stuff, you know, the special math characters, and then you can insert that and move it around. So I love this draw. Look at all those special characters. I love the draw tools. So I encourage you guys to explore these draw tools. We are out of time, but those are the magical, it's just a taste. It's just some of the magical things that you can do with Microsoft Word learning tools. So let's go back and look at where you can get help. So if at any time you need help with your laptops, on your student district devices, there's a question mark. You can click on that and get help. You can enter a ticket or create, there's multiple ways to find help that way. And a ticket just means you're entering a request for help. I'm going to show you very quickly in a minute the Family Support Center, which is on our website. This is the phone number for help. And this is the email address. Keep in mind, because of the unique nature of our remote learning experience right now, they are really busy, but they will get to you as soon as they can. So let me show you. I'm going to go to our website and show you how to get to that help. So here we have that tacomaschools.org site again. And we're going to go to Families and then Family Support Center. And these are the webinars that we are in right now, and there's more coming. And we've got technology help here, technology help here. And if you scroll down, there's all sorts of more resources. And here is a place that you can go and see YouTube videos. Emily's made them, and they are really helpful. Look how short they are. It's just little tiny bites. 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes, where you can learn more about Immersive Reader, and you will be able to catch this webinar on this in the same spot so that you can watch it again if you need to. So thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear how you found this session, if you found it helpful, or if you have suggestions. And if you go to bit.ly in a browser and / make sure that the F and S and the W and this F and B are capitals. But if you just type into the address bar of an internet browser, you can give us some feedback. Tell us how you found this session. And please join us for another family support webinar that's coming up. We've got many, many more scheduled next week. So thank you.